I'm Margaret Craig. I have invented the process tar gel pressless etching, and I have a show coming up at the Center for Contemporary Craft in Houston. And so because of coronavirus and everything being delayed, we thought we'd do a little video of the process because this is a craft-oriented institution and the how-to is very important. So what I've got in front of me basically is the things that I'm going to use for this. The things that you have are normally things that you'd have around a print studio, which is of course a plate and a brayer, some plexiglass to roll up on, and basically what we don't need is a press. And what we're going to make turns out like this. This is a stretchy etching. And for those who get to see the show when it happens in Houston, you will be seeing stuff that looks a little like this. And people a lot of times think it is that glass. What is that? Well, what that is this process where I'm doing a cast print in an acrylic medium called tar gel. It's a golden product. And this is it right here. So you can see, I buy it by the gallon. I use an awful lot of it. Make lots of prints this way. This is what I put it into, which is sort of your generic bottle, because that's a little bit easier for me to use when I'm creating the print. So to start out, I'm going to do everything from the start. I'm mixing up some ink. The nice thing about this, you want a fairly loose etching ink, but because we're not dealing with paper, we can do this in oil paint. So I have here some Sennelier just white, titanium white oil paint. And I have a little bit of some Charbonnel etching ink, but any kind you can have, and you can do just straight oil paint. Oil paint is softer than, I'm probably going to need a little bit more for this plate. Is softer than etching ink. So if you're using etching ink, add some Easy Wipe to it, some Set Swell, some plate oil, something like that. Because you want it a little bit softer. Litho ink is going to be too thick and dense, and it doesn't work as well with litho ink. So I've mixed that up. I've got kind of a Pepto-Bismol pink here. That's okay. It's a nice fun color, and then I've got a little squeegee, and I'm going to squeegee it onto the plate. The plate is just a normal etching plate. I tend to do a lot of open bite on my plates, so I don't know if you can see. It's got some open biting in there, it's got some aqua tint, and the image is sort of a, for me, it's sort of a sea cucumber sort of critter, because I do a lot of images of alternative evolutions from the plastic that we have put in the oceans. Okay, so I have that just inked up there a little bit. I'm going to put on some gloves here. And then I'm taking a tarlatan. And I'm just going to wipe the excess ink off here, as one would normally do. Okay, and then I do a bit of paper wiping. And so that's getting all that excess ink off the surface. Now this plate doesn't have a lot of aqua tint on the top surface, so there's areas that aren't going to be very inky. And when you're going to do a tar gel print, you want to have a little bit of oil to help that print release off the plate. Okay, so that looks pretty good. We've got pink in all our grooves. And so now I want to give it just a little bit of a relief roll. And that can be a color or it can be something fairly clear. I have taken to using mineral oil because mineral oil eventually does kind of go away. It doesn't yellow, and I'm not using very much. And sometimes I will give it just a hint of a color. But I will say, if you're putting it on copper, and you can do this on collagraph, any kind of surface like that too, you will find on copper sometimes your blank areas on the plate will go a little blue anyway. So I'm just rolling this up so we have a little bit of blue in there. Want to make sure that it's really nice and even. So I'm just trying to get that blue mixed up. Okay, and there we go. And now I'm going to roll over this plate. And it's nice and greasy, so it really doesn't lift up any of that pink that I put down there. I've tried doing it with flash oil as well. Flash oil I find almost evaporates a little too quickly, so if you don't get in there and print that, pull that print right after it's dry, sometimes it's a little tougher to get off. Okay, so now that's all inked up and ready to go, and I'm going to take my tar gel and spread it across the surface. So I like to kind of follow along the image with the plate, so I'm not just dumping it all in one plop in the center of the plate. And then I've got a little old credit card type of thing here, and I'm using that to spread it out. And because I'm going to use this as a shaped item, I'm not worried about going all the way to the edges of the plate. I'm just going to the edges of the image and making sure it's kind of even there. Okay, and now with this I'm going to need to let it dry overnight. I like to turn a fan on in the room, but I don't like to have a fan directly on it because a fan directly on it sometimes will make the tar gel dry too fast on the surface and then you'll get cracks. Don't worry if you get cracks. You can refer to the instructions actually on my website. You can just shove some more tar gel in the cracks, let that dry, and then pull the print. But it's best to have air moving but not directly on the plate. And then by the magic of cameras, we will be back tomorrow and I will pull this print for you. Okay, welcome back. We have a dried print. You can see the white tar gel has gone clear, and that's how you can tell that it is dry. And at this point, you just have to pull it off. And sometimes it sticks a little if it's gone over to the edge of the plate, but really, here's what we've got. And you can see it's got all the dimension of that plate. And this one came out really pretty clear. And it's a nice pink. And right now, I don't want to touch the surface of it because it's still wet, because this is oil-based ink and oil paint. It'll take it probably about 5 days before I want to use it for anything. And at that point, it will be dry to the touch. And it'll be stretchy. It's stretchy at this point, but it's still really wet. So I don't really want to touch that. It'll make a mess. So that's tar gel etching. And please, if you want some written instructions, check out my website, which is margaretcraig.com.